You're listening to After the Review.
After the review.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
Well, some troubling news surrounding former Washington football team running back Derrius Guice. 2 weeks after he was cut by the team for an alleged domestic violence dispute, two women have come forward accusing him of rape while he was a freshman at LSU. These are some pretty troubling accusations, a lot of graphic stuff going on here. I just want to warn everybody before we get into this about what's ahead, but it needs to be talked about. If you could, like this video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell to make sure you get these important daily update videos, and let's dive into this. Okay, so two former LSU students say they were raped by Washington football team running back Derrius Guice while he was a freshman at LSU. Guice was cut by the team 2 weeks ago after a domestic dispute arrest. I don't want to say arrest. Warrant was out for his arrest, and then he was arrested. The team cut him before he was arrested, but some bad stuff came out about that. Now, USA Today is reporting that they had been covering this, working on this story since January, and it's not related to this recent arrest that these women are coming out. This has apparently been in the works, and it's some really, really troubling stuff here. USA Today says both women reported the claims to the school while they were at LSU, and it was being covered up. The first woman talks about how she was way too intoxicated. She went out with Guice. They were drinking. She told him nothing was going to happen, and then he forced himself on her. She said she started abusing alcohol and drugs afterhand more. She checked into a rehab facility at LSU, informed the rehab counselor of this, and the counselor reportedly informed LSU of the situation. This woman was also a former tennis player at LSU. Her father went and talked to the tennis coach about it, and then the tennis coach came out and said, "I don't believe her." And this is the really, really troubling stuff, people. This culture seems to be a thing on a more than significant number of college campuses and football teams. Just go back a few years ago now with the Baylor football team and the entire nonsense that was running around there. There was a lot of ifs, ands, or buts going on about there. There was some over-reporting, a lot of under-reporting on what was going on there. And it just seems there's a toxic culture in some places about football players getting away with stuff. And it really is a tough thing to balance. We're in a tough situation here to balance this. A lot of awful people going around doing bad things. And I'm not going to say there aren't some people that are lying. There's definitely stories of women lying about accusations and destroying people's lives. But I do think there is a significant number more of unreported assaults going on. And it's really, really troubling. The cover-up is just disgusting. The former tennis player met with Washington football team officials of the alleged rape on August 6th. So this was before Guice was cut. They interviewed her for 3.5 hours, and then they released Guice after all this domestic dispute stuff came out that recently happened. And it's just very, very troubling. Now, the second woman was dating a recruit of the LSU football team at the time, and she says she threw a party, she went to sleep, had way too much to drink, and then felt like she had been violated when she woke up. Derrius Guice had left her number in her phone. He then reported to the football team that he had had sex with her, and it was just really, really just awful stuff. So this woman reported it to her friend at LSU, who reported it to the right officials, and apparently the team didn't do anything. They said she could go get help from the healthcare center at LSU. The university did. And then when the woman asked when a school nurse asked whether the woman would file a complaint against Guice, the woman said she was scared to go forward because it was so violent, or because he was so violent. The woman claims the nurse said the allegations would probably get pushed under the rug, because considering Guice's status at LSU, and this is a big fact. Derrius Guice was a stud football player at LSU, and they're going to protect their stud athletes, I feels like, a lot of the time. The football player says she was dating a football recruit at the time, but he steered clear of Guice. And this is where things get interesting with Coach Edo. Apparently, Coach Edo approached the player about a year after the alleged assault and told him he shouldn't be bothered about Guice sleeping with his girlfriend. And the player claims Orgeron told him everybody's girlfriend sleeps with other people. So does that mean Edo knew this happened? That's what this would implicate. And this is a lot more than just him hooking up with his girlfriend. This is clearly a pattern at this point now of assault from Derrius Guice. Once the woman made it, Orgeron would not respond to comment here for the USA Today. The woman made it clear that she did not consent to sex with Guice. She claims Guice got violent. Guice allegedly confronted the woman while she was at a friend's apartment. The woman claims Guice went off, telling the woman she doesn't know Guice and threatening to get his gun. This kind of goes into the role of what just happened with a domestic dispute with his current girlfriend. I want to wait for the facts to come out here, but this is very troubling stuff, people, about covering up things, letting football players get away with this, young men in general acting extremely inappropriately, and I think it has to do with the power dynamic. I'm a football player. I can do whatever I want. You owe me. This is very troubling stuff, and it needs to be talked about more. We need to get this stuff out in the open more and more so people can come forward when these things immediately happen and these can be taken care of appropriately. It's tough. It's really awful that we have to keep talking about these kind of situations on college campuses with football players and universities, these power universities, covering these things up. It's awful. Now, LSU did release a statement. LSU statement and the LSU Athletics take all accusations of sexual assault with the utmost seriousness. Formal complaints are promptly and fully investigated, and the rights and privacy of students are protected as stipulated by the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. Complainants are also strongly encouraged to report the offense to law enforcement, are provided information on healthcare, counseling, and supporting measures available. Derrius Guice, of course, denies all charges. He's due in court for his aggravated domestic assault charges on August 28th. But they say, LSU says they support it, but clearly not much happened here. If we didn't hear about a serious investigation for the team, we have multiple women at the same time frame accusing these things, and it feels like it got swept under the rug. Now, they could be embellishing. I don't know. The Jameis Winston was a similar situation at Florida State. College kids do dumb things and don't know, but it just seems like there's too much stuff lines up here that this is just fake. He clearly has a history of this behavior, and we have multiple women explaining a very similar situation to what happened. And we need to get this stuff taken care of, people. It needs to be more out in the open. The Baylor thing that happened a few years ago was a disaster. This could be a major disaster for LSU. And I'm sure there's countless other football programs that deal with this stuff. And it's kind of covered up because people do this stuff. We really need to change the way we look at this stuff. Not the brightest story I have for you today, everybody. But it's something that we need to talk about. I encourage everybody that has these issues. We talked about harassment in the workplace earlier on a segment. Share. Come out immediately. Don't be afraid to report this stuff. Get it out there. We need to take care of them now more than ever. But remember, if you like this video, share it. Subscribe to the channel. It greatly helps us out. Check out the links in the description, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.